You're listening to Fathers Handling Business, where fatherhood meets real talk and real solutions. Here are your hosts, Cali and Donté, ready to dive deep into the art and science of parenting. Let's get started and empower the dad in you.
When you're raising especially a boy, I came from a household where it was just a mom. I had my grandfather and I had my pops, but there was no man in the household. I started arguing with females once I started to go through things. It got physical orders. You know why? Because I was an emotional boy. I didn't have nobody in the household to say, okay, look, this is not how you go about it. Go to the gym. I had to learn this from YouTube. I had to read books, go on YouTube, do these different avenues I had to learn. Grandpa telling me certain things, pops telling me certain things. But when you have a man in a household, the chances of that boy that's becoming a man to grow up emotional, 80% of the people that's in jail came from single household mothers. Meaning this, if I'm in a club and step on my sneakers, yo, bro, what's up, bro? What you doing? Now guess what? Somebody died, somebody go to jail. You know why? Because that boy or that boy wasn't raised in a household with men. That's the problem in society, because females with the mindset that I don't need a man. That's the reason why we have females in this generation that's having kids that I don't need a man. Now they growing up without fathers. Now you got raising emotional ass boys.
No. Everybody's situation. When you get outside for everybody's situation.
Like, when you're really listening to what somebody is saying, then you are actually actively trying to process what they're saying.
Process, understand, see their point of view, where they're coming from.
Yeah, process, understand, see what they're coming from, and then trying to say, the first thing that was said was, no, everybody's situation is different. Well, we understand that everybody's situation is different. We're not talking about, or this young man wasn't talking about everybody's specific situation, but what he was saying is that a specific situation that comes up over and over and over and over again, is where two black men can have a altercation that ends up in somebody dead, right?
Dead or going to jail.
Right, dead or going to jail. That could have been alleviated if they would have had a black man in their household.
Yes, and the reason why he said that is because having a black man in the household would give them the right tools to use in those type of situations. It would give them the emotional intelligence to know how to de-escalate a situation if somewhere, and he used the analogy of if you're in the club and someone steps on your shoes, like you can de-escalate the situation in terms of having the right tools to use. Like, it's not the end of the world if someone scuff up your J's.
Exactly. And what he's really saying is the root of that is how we handle disrespect.
Correct.
Right? Like, how as men do we handle when we feel, right, disrespected, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a whole other, can of worms, you know what I'm saying? When you feel disrespected, or, oh, he disrespected you, or, oh, he did this or did that. Like, somebody steps on your shoes unintentionally.
Right.
That's not disrespecting you. You know what I'm saying? That's called an accident.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it sucks. Like, yeah, that's not, what you wanted to happen, but, that shouldn't result in somebody losing their life because of. Have you ever been to a club?
Yeah.
Have you ever? I've been to clubs.
Right.
I used to run a club, and when it's packed in there, people are pushing
shoulder to shoulder.
It's shoulder to shoulder. It's shoving. It's you trying to get from one area to the next. You may have one drink in your hand. You may have two drinks in your hand.
While trying to dance.
While trying to dance, getting through, you may spill a drink. You may bump into somebody. Like, to me, that was always the silliest thing in the world, is somebody getting mad because somebody stepped on your shoes in the club, bro.
Right.
Like, the club has to be the worst ever place for you to get mad that somebody's stepping on your shoes. But the overarching thing is how we deal with disrespect. I think Nipsey said the same thing in his later years. He was like, we as a people have to stop or have to learn how to deal when people show us disrespect. Like, we don't have to respond at all.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't have to respond at all.
That's a form of de-escalation.
Exactly. Like you can call me anything you want to call me. You know what I'm saying? And now that we have the internet, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people feel like they can call you whatever they want to call you or say whatever they want to say because there's no repercussions that's going to happen. Like they've obviously never got popped in the face for saying something, you know what I'm saying? Because they grew up in a different generation, which is cool. Like I got somebody ran up on me for something I said in first period. And caught me at the bus stop lacking. I'm sitting there with my girl. He caught me at the bus stop lacking. Yeah, I heard what you said in second period. Wop, wop, wop. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
You feel me? Like a lot of people ain't dealt with that, you know, in their life. You know, like somebody really gonna come in and check you for something that you say. You feel me? But again, that's two black men fighting over that didn't have black men in the household, you know what I'm saying, fighting over something that was said
Right.
or done in disrespect and not knowing how to have that conflict resolution when it comes to the disrespect. So, you know, not having fathers in the household can definitely do some damage.
Absolutely. And sometimes a father isn't in the household because maybe they're not there, meaning like fathers pass away, you know, when kids are young. And so there's nothing you could do about that part. But having an uncle to come alongside you, having a grandfather to come alongside you, or some type of male figure that's going to instill those type of values, those tools in order for you to grow up emotionally intelligent is key. It's absolutely key. Especially, and then you have to think about the extra added layer, meaning being raising a black boy to become a young black man in America. There's always that extra added layer.
I was at the grocery store last night, and I was thinking about that. No, not the grocery store. I was at Home Depot, and there was a older white man that was about to get, I don't know, he was about to get a card or something, you know, and I just moved. I was kind of in the way because I was about to load my car, and he was like, "No, you're okay. Don't worry about it. You know, you're okay. You know, blah, blah." And it just made me chuckle a little bit because we're at a place, at least in the community that I live in, we're at a place where I see this often, where older white people kind of overdo it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like they overcompensate a little bit. And I appreciate it, right? Because they understand the dynamic, right? Like all we've ever wanted is for people to just understand the dynamic. Like we're not asking for extra favors. We're not asking for anything crazy, but we all understand the dynamic. And for those that try to act like there is no dynamic, like there nothing happened, you know what I'm saying? So you should just get over it type of situations. Like, you know, I appreciate that, you know, they kind of overdo it a little bit. Like when I go to the grocery store, when I go here, when I go there, I see, you know, people say, "How you doing, young man?" You know, getting out the way. And no, you're fine. Don't even worry about it. Like they overcompensate a little bit.
Yo, when do you think that started?
In 2020, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And that needed to happen, right? That needed to happen. And like I said, yeah, sometimes things get overcorrected, for sure, you know. And I'm sure that maybe in the next 10 years it won't be like that, you know. It'll kind of even out a little bit, you know. But just understanding the dynamic. Somebody on Threads the other day, they asked ChatGPT, you know, how many times has there been a thriving black community in the United States, and it was destroyed by white people. And it came up with all of these different things.
Really?
And then somebody, it's a lot. Somebody came out with a map too. They was like, yo, pick a massacre. Like, it's a lot of different ones. It was something that I had no idea. And then somebody else said, well, ask how many man-made lakes cover used to be black neighborhoods. And then there's a whole nother thing, like Central Park. Do you know about Central Park?
No, please don't tell me. That used to be.
You didn't? Oh, I knew about Central Park. I knew about Central Park and Lake Lanier. You heard about Lake Lanier? Okay. Same thing. Central Park used to be a thriving black neighborhood, and then they covered it up. Yeah. But there's a bunch of other man-made lakes around the United States where there used to be a thriving black community, right? And then they just covered it up, right? I don't know how we got on that, but the point is that there has been some injustices in America, to black people, and that just is what it is. Like, we can't change it. We can't, and acting like it doesn't exist, or that we can't, or that we should get over it and all that kind of stuff. That's just not, that's not reality.
Right.
Because things are reverberated, throughout the land, and it's going to take some time. Like, people, same thing happened to Israel when they were coming out of, like, their whole generation couldn't even go to the promised land, that were actual slaves.
Right.
The slaves, they couldn't even go because their mentality was different. Now I'm reading I'm in Deuteronomy right now when I'm reading, and Moses is just talking to the new generation that's about to go into the promised land. But he already knows they're going to mess up too. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just because it's in their DNA. You feel me? So having that extra layer in our society today plays a huge role in how our children grow.
Yeah. But I mean, you said, real quick, going back to what you just said with Moses and how he was speaking to the next generation that was going into the promised land. That is that's almost like having a father figure for that generation to
Right.
speak on, how to behave, pretty much, because he knew he wasn't going, because he was told he wasn't going,
Right.
and now he can give advice. And so that's where having fathers in the house come into play, right? For our children, for their children, so on and so forth. When we don't have that in the house, there is a huge, huge void that cannot be filled by the mother.
100%. I mean, the young man in this clip said he had to go to YouTube,
Right.
to figure out how to deal with the aggression, right? That he has, and how to deal with the de-escalation, like going to the gym, just something simple as, yo, dog, like, do 100 push-ups. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna use a person as an example.
Okay.
Right. So when I say a huge void that cannot be filled by the mother, that's not to say that mothers cannot, be, uber successful as a single parent. Like, I've seen single mother parents raise their young boys and to be very successful people. However, the void that I'm talking about is something that is taught by a man, and it's exactly what this young man in the clip was talking about: the emotional part, right? The emotional intelligence, the emotional stability, right? He was saying how he was an emotional boy and acted as such.
Okay.
So, for all you NBA lovers out there,
Okay.
one person always comes to mind. You know who I'm thinking about?
Brian?
No.
Oh, who you talking about?
Kevin Durant.
Ah-ha-ha.
Raised by his mother.
Right.
And we all know Katie's mom special lady, always at the games. Like, he loves his mom. As
As
he
we
should,
all do.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
However, this dude is so emotional.
Man, it's so crazy that you bring him up because I was just thinking about this and talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, he's about to get traded
Yes,
from Phoenix,
in
right?
In the offseason, he will get traded.
He will get traded, and he's gonna go to another team. And unless he goes to a team who already has I don't want to say alpha, but just a leader, right? That's already established.
Right.
It's gonna be the same thing that happened in Brooklyn. It's gonna be the same thing that happened in Phoenix. Like, they're gonna have a gang of talent and still fail.
Right.
Because he's already said, I do not want to be a leader. I am not a leader, and I don't want to be. But I want to take all the shots.
Yeah.
But I want to take the shot at the end of the game. But it's like, you can't do both, right? Like, the only reason, and I'll stand on this to the day I die. And I think his legacy is sullied. I do. He's gonna go down as, I don't know what he's gonna go down as. Like, I don't have him high up on the list.
He'll be an NBA Hall of Famer.
Oh, he's gonna be a
First
Hall of
ballot.
Famer for sure.
But will he ever be known as the person that won championships on his own and had his own team? Absolutely not.
Like, he's never gonna be the bus driver, as they say.
No.
You know, he's and the reason why is because Steph Curry was a bus driver, right? And he was just getting open shots.
Yeah.
Like, it was so ridiculous, that one championship that they won. Like, I didn't even watch. Like, it wasn't even fun because it was like, okay, we gotta guard Clay, we gotta guard Steph, we gotta guard Draymond, we gotta guard whoever else. Oh snap, we still gotta guard Kevin Durant. He was just getting he was just stepping into wide open threes. It was just, I was like, man, it's not even fun.
If he had a father in his life, and during those times, his father would have said, "You will not leave this team."
The
what?
the OKC team?
No.
Yeah.
The Warriors.
Oh, the Warriors.
Yeah. Like, why would you leave? No. But here's the thing.
I think it would have been before that. I don't think he would have left OKC. Like, I think it was a weak move. I agree with Stephen A. Smith on that one. I think it was a weak-minded move to go to Golden State after a 73-9 team, bro. Like, that's just a terrible move. And I think that history that'll always be an asterisk on his
legacy.
On his legacy. Yeah. And whether he cares or not, that's irregardless, but that's just what it is, bro. Yeah. Like, everybody knows that and they were up 3-1. That's like, all of those things make it a terrible decision. And I think that before leaving Golden State, I don't think he would have even gotten to Golden State if he had, a father figure there, like, or if he was a much more emotionally stronger person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would have been, okay, let's see who we can add to me and Russ so that we can, get past. And if we can go back even further than that, it's no way they should have lost 3-1 when they were up 3-1.
Yeah. No. So, the reason why I brought him up was because he has been known to care about what everybody says about him on social media, on X.
Yeah.
Or formerly known as Twitter. So, burner accounts.
Yeah.
Talking himself up through the burner accounts, just like all these things. And it's just like, yo, like, you are a NBA future Hall of Famer. Why do you care about what anybody else thinks? And I am certain if he had a father in his life to instill these values in him, he would not even care. Not one bit.
Not one iota, huh? I think everybody cares. I disagree there. Not that he wouldn't care. I think that he would have the tools to be able to handle it in a different way. Because I still think people care even though they may not act on it. You know,
So you mean to tell me that you think people like, all right, let's take Steph for example. There's so much stuff that's said about Steph and Aisha and
and I think he cares.
Dale and his like well, at least he don't show it.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. I think that because classic case is everybody says we locked in. We don't hear nothing that happens. We don't hear nothing that happens. As soon as they win the championship, yeah, we heard all what y'all said. This is what we did. Wop. You see what I'm saying?
We have receipts. Yeah.
Yeah. We have receipts from all of y'all. Like everybody does that. Jalen Hurts that just won. He did that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say nothing until after he won.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And everybody does that. Every championship team does that. On the way to the championship, we don't hear nothing. We locked in. They said, well, what do you think about so-and-so? I didn't hear that. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody hears it. Everybody feels something, but having the emotional intelligence to not respond or respond in a way that is not, burner accounts and blah, 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 you know what I'm saying, is the difference, right? Even with me, you know what I'm saying? I told you last week I got an arch nemesis on Threads for some reason, you know what I'm saying? That's just coming out my head every time I post something. And like I told you, it bothers me a little bit, like as many positive comments as I get, the ones that are negative, they stick out to me, which I emotionally know that, what are you doing? Like, don't focus on the negative. Right. Focus on all these people who you're helping, or all these people who are saying, yo, thank you for this. Like, I really appreciate what you're saying. Don't focus on the people saying, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But those things are still there. But, I have, even though I didn't have a father in my house, I have, thank glory to God, I have the emotional intelligence to not dwell on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And keep it, stay focused on the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of it stems from like knowing where to spend your time and energy. Like, I feel like Steph is someone who would not spend his time and energy on listening or like, I mean, think about like there is a whole network, not including like your regular, broadcasting media. I'm like a whole sports network geared towards talking about their opinion on every single sport.
Okay.
And so you have to, as an athlete, you have to know how to drown out the noise and not exert your energy on what people are saying about you.
I mean, and let's even take it down, because we're talking about 450 people who are athletes, and that's the number of current active NBA players. There's only 450 at any one time. But the rest of, the millions and billions of people in the U.S. and around the world, really, that deal with trolls and social media personalities and social media people. Somebody posts something on social media and then the negativity comes out. Like, how, as just a regular average person,
that was just
you know what I'm saying?
Like, I was about to say that next.
How do you deal with it then? Especially as a man, or a young boy, or somebody who doesn't have a father, or who doesn't have that emotional intelligence quotient. How do they deal with that?
Yeah, I was just about to go there. I was going to use my own personal life as an example. So, I mean, I've talked to you about things that my ex-wife has posted on social media.
Okay.
And I don't even follow her, right?
Okay.
However, it always gets back to me. Somebody tells me like, "Oh, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." Why? Why are you asking? Like, "Oh, I seen so and so's post." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, but I don't let those things bother me. It's like I'm not going to spend not 1 ounce of energy on it. Like, the only thing that I do like have a concern for is how is it going to affect our kids in the future,
Right.
right? So maybe the kids don't see it right now, but if they do see it in the future, or if one of their friends come up to them and say like, "Yo, why'd your mom post this?" or "Why's your mom dressed like this on IG?" or "Why's your mom like?" That's when I have a concern for it. But I don't care what she has to say about me. Like it doesn't bother me one bit. Like you move on, and your energy is spent elsewhere.
Yeah. Spending your energy elsewhere is the key, is redirecting the energy. And I think that's what, going back to what Nipsey said, redirecting that energy somewhere else instead of trying to reciprocate it back, right? That is, and it takes intelligence. Like I said, Nipsey did this later on in his life. You know what I'm saying? But as young Thundercat, what I'm saying, from Rolling 60, you know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't his mentality.
No.
And
Most of their mentality is like, oh, like you looking at me a certain way, like
right,
it's about to be popping.
right. And I think one of the things that even he said that opened his eyes was when his pops took him back to Eritrea. I think I'm saying that right. There where he's from, where his
Right.
pops is from. But in those other times, he was raised by his mom. Him and his brother or whatever. And so, I think the distinction that the young man was trying to say was about having the father in the household versus just having him around.
Yeah, no, it's you have to be intentional as a father with your children, because there are a lot of fathers, even in like not just talking about black families, like all fathers, right, who are physically present and available for their kids, but they're not emotionally available for their kids. And it's a huge difference. Like you can be there
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
but if you're not being intentional on properly training your children in terms of giving them the right tools emotionally, mentally, spiritually, aside from just being there physically, then that's still a huge void that needs to be filled.
Yeah. I always go back and think about how, I think we talked about this before, but like fences, it's like, yo, I don't have to like you, I provide this covering for you. I provide this house for you. I provide the clothes that's on your back. I provide the food that's in your belly. You know what I'm saying? That's enough. That was once the that was once the overtone in America, really. Like that was what was on TV, like Archie Bunker type of stuff, what I'm saying? Like they weren't really trying to be fathers, and that was kind of sold to us at a time, in America. I know
Well, they thought that they were being fathers just by providing.
just by providing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we know that it takes a little bit more than just that. But that is important as well.
Yeah.
The providing is important, but that's just the base. That's just the base. But failing as a father, has immense consequences, and it just reverberates generation after generation.
Correct. So if you think about the times that you're talking about, like the Archie Bunker,
Mad
like,
Men times, those types.
yeah, like all those times, right? Their fathers raised them the same way or a certain way, which was very similar to that way. And then it just kind of just trickles down. At what point is the cycle broken and a father is intentional with their child in those specific areas, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? At what point? And so there has to be a person within that family genealogy that says, like, you know what, like, I feel like I needed more, so I'm going to give my kid more. Mm-hmm. I feel like I needed this, that, and the third, mm-hmm. so I'm going to give my kid this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. It's going to take that. It has to take that. And then it's passed on, and then you educate yourself, and then you educate others. It has to take someone who's like really needed something growing up as a child, didn't get it, but wants their child to have that, and every other child that comes after them. It don't even have to be their own, but just knowing that I had this void as a child, and so I want to make sure that other children get it.
Yeah. And by other children, do you mean other children on a mass scale, or do you just mean like other children as in their children?
On a mass scale.
On a mass scale. What would that take? What would that look like?
It would take them stepping out. Hopefully, I mean, depending on the person, like some people are not comfortable, but if they are comfortable, great. If they're not, like getting out of their comfort zone and educating other fathers, educating people from a platform. So maybe they create something or write a book or somewhere along those lines, depending on the time, right?
Sounds like you got some work to do, brother. Creating a platform, writing a book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds like you got some work to do, brother.
Yeah.
As those ladies brought up in
the clip
that weren't really listening, but they were responding. But the main response is always everybody's situation is different, right? Everybody has their own unique circumstances, but at the same time, everybody is the same, in my opinion. But how do we support those mothers who don't have that father figure?
Well, yeah, no, what they're saying, and we didn't get to, see the full, the end of their conversation because mm-hmm. the clip ends, right? What they're saying is true. Like, everyone's situation is different. Yes, we know this. However, as mothers, and even as a single mother, if you're a single mother, there's no father in the household for whatever reason, right? Doesn't matter. There's still a void that needs to be filled on behalf of your son, right? So I feel that the mother has to be intentional in making sure that that void gets filled by someone who is a positive male role model or male figure in that child's life, in that young boy's life, right?
Yep.
And so that's the type of support that a single mother can give their child. Is finding that person.
Yeah, that was my question. Like, where do they look? Because, I'll just go off of my experience. Like, my mother had my godfather, right? And he was married to somebody else, right? Like, there was no like romantic relationship there. They just knew each other from work, that kind of thing. And he kind of took me in, as one of his children. So that was how I was able to at least have a father figure, in my life, even though he wasn't there every day. And then she took me to like Saturday school, you mm-hmm. know. That was, led by like one of those programs that you were talking about, where, it was led by men and, teaching you how to tie your tie and, what forks to use when you mm-hmm. go to
etiquette school. Yeah.
Yeah. Etiquette school, that kind of stuff. I don't know if those things exist these days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And how does how do we support these single mothers who are looking for these type of things, these type of resources, who are not looking necessarily, who are looking for a male role model who's not necessarily their relationship partner.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No, that's a great question. So let's take a look at, let's go like to the, let's say the poorest, neighborhood situation, whatever, what have you, because not everybody's going to have the resources, right?
Okay.
To get their kid, all the things, right?
Okay.
So we have programs like Big Brother, Big Sister,
Okay.
right? We have, and they have like different chapters all over. I was it 2000, what, no, 2021, I believe it was. Ran a marathon, raised $20,000 for Big Brother, Big Sister.
Okay.
One of my best friends was a big brother,
Okay.
and he helped organize the whole thing, and it was just raising money for a great cause. So that's one of them.
Okay.
If you're a Christian or a church-going family and you go to church, like finding someone in the church, right? Youth pastor, what have you. If you're not, then sports, like coaches. I am forever grateful for my assistant basketball coach in high school. Still talk to him to this day.
That's dope.
And he took me under his wing, and I always thank him, and he always says, "Man, I was just paying it forward. You know, your dad did that for me and my brother." So it's just like, it's stuff like that, right?
Right.
So coaches, like I said, youth groups, Big Brother, Big Sister. Back in the day when we were growing up, we had the Y, right? The YMCA.
There's still the Y. The
yeah.
Y is still around.
Yeah. So
So basically being proactive and finding something for the son to get into.
yes,
That's outside of school, outside of sports even, because sports is cool, but not everybody's into sports.
right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
I mean, so let's talk about like your sons.
I was
who
just
are
about to say my younger sons, they tried sports, but they're like, this is not fun to me.
right. So they're into computers,
Mm-hmm.
music, and so even finding someone in that avenue that could help foster their love of computers or music,
Mm-hmm.
but then also coming alongside them and instilling good moral values in them, emotional intelligence, things of that nature.
Yeah. Finding those programs. I know we're talking about, if they're in a poorer community, but even in just a middle class community, which is the overwhelming majority of people is
Right.
in the middle class community, middle to upper class communities. Finding those types of groups, like you say, youth sports is a great way.
And even in the lowest of socioeconomic like areas, that's where they cater to the most, like programs for kids.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying the people who are in the middle class and upper middle class, because, like, where do they go?
Yeah, I know.
Because
like,
there's a lot of single black women who have done well. Like, I just saw a stat where, like, in the PhD, it was like 90% women, you know what I'm saying, and less than 10% men, are, so that's just a real thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That there's a lot of educated black women out there who are single parents living in these nice houses in these nice neighborhoods and nice communities.
There's a whole thing. There's a whole reason behind that too. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's the whole reason behind that. We know that. That's not for today. But that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the people who and women who, in my opinion, this is just me, Cali, talking. Those are those women that were in that clip that are like, no. You know what I'm saying? Those are the I need to be independent. I can raise my son by myself type of attitude, right? Type of spirit that's on them. That's and those are the ones that actually, have those sons that, need those father figures, need those male figures to give them that emotional intelligence that they can't get from their mother.
Right.
So those are the ones that I feel need the most support, not help, but support, in trying to raise their sons, and like what they can do to, incorporate some maleness. And like I said, without them being in a relationship with a male or, anything like that, just having that support to help raise the sons.
Yeah, I think those same opportunities presents itself to them as well. It's just going to probably cost them more money.
Okay,
Yeah.
money's not an option.
Yeah.
Like that's why they got that PhD, right? So that they can, have all the money and drive the little, Mercedes, the little
BMWs,
little A class. You know what I'm saying? No shot. I'm just joking. But yeah, those are the ones, and having those coaches, having those, and not only sports coaches, but just coaches in whatever they're into,
Right.
Robotics or anime. You know what I'm saying? My youngest son, he's super into anime. Like, I took him to an anime convention. He was in heaven. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's those type of situations.
Yeah, I think after everything, right? It's all about intentionality.
Yes.
Like seeing that there's a void and knowing that, okay, I know that I can do a lot, but this one thing I cannot do. I cannot fill this void.
Right.
Because of who I am.
Right.
And so I can be but I can't. What I can do is be intentional in finding the right person for my son to help fill that void.
100%.
And that's what we're talking about today.
100%. It takes a village. Like
1,000%.
You're strong, and that's great. You know what I'm saying? But you're strong in the areas you're strong in. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's weak in some areas, and that's fine. That's why we need other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's why we weren't put here by ourselves, so that, I can help you, you can help me, and, we can help they.
Yeah.
You feel me? So that's our show for today. Fathers handling business. Failing as a father is definitely detrimental to our culture and people. So let's support each other so that these type of things won't happen.
Let's rise up. Takes a village.
Holla at y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you found our discussion enlightening and empowering as you navigate the rewarding journey of fatherhood. Don't forget to follow us on socials, join the conversation, and share your own experiences. We're here to support and inspire each other, one episode at a time. Until next time, keep empowering the dad in you.